Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League. This is the Tier 2 league, the middle tier of the Equal Performance Leagues, and we are here for round number 12, the Italian Grand Prix, in partnership with gridfinder.com. And joining me as per usual is Bruce Lee Harding. Good evening, Bruce. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, JPH. Yeah, all good. All set for a pretty high speed set of races coming up, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, it's a sprint evening, which means we're going to have one-shot qualifying. And I'm going to say someone's probably readied up a bit early here,
Oh no.
followed by a sprint and a feature race. So this could be interesting to see how setups are going to be affected by this. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We saw an early ready up last night, unfortunately, as well, and it meant a few guys couldn't get their setups done in time. It did hamper them for the rest of the evening, so fingers crossed everyone still managed to get it in.
So here we go. We're going to be on board with Ivan Belov, the championship leader, as he goes across the line. The Autodromo National Monza, 5.7 kilometres, 5.8 really. But down the first straight, you can have DRS down to the first chicane. Going to be breaking about the 100-metre board, I reckon. Yeah. Down to third for Ivan, and up to fourth on the exit. Obviously, I think he's using no traction control. Curva Grande, absolutely flat through this. No lifting whatsoever. Eighth gear, flat to the boards, and then down to the Della Roggia chicane for 4 and 5. Down to third. Just want to take a little bit of curb, not too much because it'll bounce you out if you're not careful. Down to Lesmo. This is the first of the Lesmos. Again, a late apex one, 5th gear. Drift out wide and then into Lesmo 2. Take a bit of curb on the entry, a little bit of curb on the outside again. Make sure the car's straight, otherwise you will spin. Then down the second of the DRS zones, under the bridge of the old banking, into Ascari chicane, 100 metres, 6th gear. Go left, right, left, out of there. Again, another hot spot for spins there at Ascari. Then down to the 11th and final corner of this Italian circuit, Parabolica. It has been renamed, but it's always going to be Parabolica to everyone. Again, just hit the brakes, turn and get back on the throttle. And across the line for a 120.1, and that's pole position for Ivan.
Yeah, good up there for Ivan. A little bit of drama towards the back. Backside's been DSQ'd. I'm not quite sure why, but Lewis Dabika invalidated his lap, unfortunately, and Ryan left the road at Ascari. As you were saying, it's a tricky set of corners, and collided with the barriers quite hard. He's still going, but incredibly slowly. I think he's invalidated as well due to the off. So yeah, that's him at the back end of the field as well.
Yeah, so three invalidations then around this Italian circuit, and just wait for the qualifying results to load up. Bruce, would you like to take us through the grid order for the sprint race?
Yeah, so championship leader Ivan Belov there, a great lap, putting him on pole alongside Sunboy on the front row. Kent in third with Ginger Tiger, excellent fourth for Ginger Tiger there, we'll be happy with that. Second in the championship, chasing Ivan Belov. In fifth is Ruddo with Darrell. A fine effort there in sixth there, the T3 driver. Great effort. Ricamaru in seventh and Keza eighth. In ninth, Matty Rudd on his return in 10th. Kerr in 11th, also from T3, and 12th, 13th, and 14th is Ryan Lewis and Blackside, all set in no times.
And one interesting thing there by Ryan, I wonder if he's played a bit of a crafty there at the end, because he's been obviously put ahead of Blackside and Lewis because he wasn't disqualified. He just didn't set a time because he didn't reach the line within the time limit. So is that a bit of a crafty there? The fact that, because obviously if you get disqualified, you go to the back automatically. So I wonder if Ryan's played a little bit of a clever game there.
Enjoy well, whether that's intentionally or not, who knows? But yeah, no, it definitely would save him. Obviously, as you say, a couple of places. But he was lucky not to really take a wheel off. He did hit the barrier at some pace. So whilst 12th isn't the best place to be starting from, we saw yesterday people making moves in the sprint race, and now really the sprint race is a second chance maybe to get yourself a bit further up the grid for the main race.
Yeah, I mean, what are we looking at this sprint race? Because obviously a lot of people are going to be using those medium tyres, but as we know, that then limits the tyres you have in the feature. Do you think we're going to see anyone attempt to go soft or hard tyres in here to keep that set of mediums in case, obviously, with safety cars or anything like that?
Yeah, I think medium tyres are the go-to tyre really on the sprint race. Even around here, despite it being a fairly short 9-lap sprint race, the tyre wear is actually quite high on the softs. And there doesn't seem to be that much of a delta between the softs and the mediums when you run them. So someone might take a risk on the softs. I think last night in tier 3 we had pretty much everyone running mediums. I think so. Um, Mediums is the safe tyre. Softs, you might gain a few places at the start, but then you're going to be susceptible towards the end. I would be amazed if anyone used hards. You're just going to go backwards, I think, to be honest. So, yeah, I would fully expect the majority of the field to be on mediums for this one.
Yeah, I think I think what we'll do, we'll run through championship orders after the sprint, because I don't think we're going to be too far away from starting this sprint race. But a little bit about Monza, first Grand Prix in 1950. Again, one of the oldest tracks, a bit like Silverstone on the calendar. And the real life race lap record, because I don't have the previous data for previous season around here, a 1:21.046 by Rubens Barrichello in 2004 in the Ferrari, and we didn't see times too far off of that last night in the race.
No, definitely. Obviously, Rubens isn't racing with us tonight, so we won't have a chance to defend that record. But I'd expect some of these guys to the pace is obviously going to be quicker than last night. So it'd be interesting to see sort of what times they can set. But as we've just seen in qualifying, Darrell there put it in P6, I think it was there. I said so. Maybe there's not too much of a difference around this sort of circuit. Not as many corners. So there's that opportunity really for guys to be a bit closer.
Here we go then, we're about to load into the grid for the sprint race. We have the 5 red lights, and we are green for the Italian sprint race here in Tier 2. The question is, who's got the best getaway? It looks like Ivan is not going to have the best getaway. He's got Sunboy just alongside the 3 wide down towards turn 1. Surely someone's going to have to give way here. No, they're not. They're still going to stay 3 wide, and Ivan takes a little bit of advantage there with the ghosting. And he manages to retain the lead. Darrell up to 3rd place, 2nd place for the Aston Martin. We've got a yellow flag in the background. That looks like Ruddo has gone round. A bit of a shame for the 2nd place driver in the championship. But as we head down to the Della Roggia chicane for the first time, Darrell down to 3rd after being overtaken by Kent. And Ryan's round along with an Alpine of Owen. So Owen getting caught up early, and Owen's left, which is a bit bizarre. So maybe a disconnection there. But other than that, Darrell's going backwards. I don't quite know what's happened to Darrell there.
Darrell has he's spun at the first Lesmo. He's missing his front wing as well. So
Curse the Aston Martin there.
Yeah, he just waited for Owen's bot AI to come around the corner before he continues. So yeah, a bit of a disaster from 6th to the back of the grid now.
But I think everyone's now just about settled down here on this first lap, and a little bit of chaos there, and Ivan a little bit lucky to really retain that place as he did ghost through that first chicane.
Yeah, definitely. Kent will obviously want to be trying to stay within that 1 second now till the end of this next lap and the next half a lap after that as well. Ruddo looked like he just was about out of position going into the first corner, and it was almost like he couldn't get the car turned in just because there's so many people out the way. He went down the escape road a little bit and had to rejoin the track, hence why he lost so much time.
Yeah, he's obviously down in 12th. Remember, where you finish in the sprint is where you start in the feature, and the top 5 score points in the Equal Performance League sprint races. It is 5 points if you win, 1 point if you're 5th. But meanwhile, everyone just trying to settle themselves into a rhythm. Let's have a look at tyres, because I do see Sunboy on the soft compound of tyre here. So yeah, Sunboy the only one to go on the softs. Darrell obviously has pitted onto softs for that front wing change, but his sprint is all but over at this point, unless there is a safety car. Ryan
just going past car, I think they're down on the way up to Ascari.
possibly then a bit of a bad exit from Lesmo too, because usually you don't see overtakes down there until the DRS kicks in.
Yeah, definitely. He did get past fairly early as well, so yeah, I think you're probably right. Kerr did have a slight moment down there in the Aston, down at the second Lesmo, but Ivan now 1.2 seconds ahead of Kent, so he's already broken that 1 second margin. And you'd have to feel, unless Kent can pull something out of the bag here now, he's going to be very susceptible to Sunboy on the next lap.
Meanwhile, Ricky Maru gets up into 8th place, past Blackside, the Mercedes going now into turn number 1. So good work by him. Blackside just having a little bit of jitters there coming out of the corner. Ruddo past Kerr. That's because Kerr spun on the exit of the first chicane, and Ryan now goes past Blackside. So I think Blackside maybe has a bit of a bad... I think there's a bit of contact into the De La Roger chicane, but they get through cleanly nonetheless. Just about cleanly, they're not crashing. That says to me Blackside maybe didn't have enough time to get that setup on, and he's running a little bit of a bad setup.
Possibly, but he definitely seems to be struggling through corners. So if he's got more wing than he should have, he's struggling a hell of a lot through the corners. I begin to think maybe he has a small bit of damage instead. As Darrell has, the yellow flag came out there for Darrell at the chicane as well, but not sure if he's spun on what he's going again now though.
So Ruddo up into 10th now after getting past Blackside. And Sunboy is starting to close in here. Blackside's got back past Ruddo. So I don't quite know what's happened to Ruddo there, because he's also lost a fair bit of time to Blackside. But anyway, Sunboy closing in there. Not quite getting a move. Ginger Tiger having a look at Keza. Nothing happening there. Kai is fighting with Owen Bot right now.
I have to say, looking at it, Blackside straight line speed looks okay. It looks fine. He kept up with Ryan, no problem down the straights there, up to the first chicane. So I'm just thinking he maybe has a bit of front wing damage. It's not obvious from what I can see, but maybe an end plate missing. It's just making him struggle big time in the corners.
Yeah, I mean, I guess either that or he's running 0-0 wings and going absolutely full out on the straights, but... Darrell setting the fastest lap of the race so far on those soft compound tyres. Sunboy, now DRS is active, but it looks to me, as I think that's Kerr down at the De La Rogia chicane, it looks to me like Sunboy doesn't quite have the straight line pace as Ruddo re-overtakes Blackside. Now I'm going to keep an eye on this, because Blackside seems to be a bit of a rocket down the straight.
Yeah, Sunboy now closing on Kent as well, out of the parabolica. So with DRS now, I think this could be Sunboy up to second. I don't think there's going to be much of a fight here from Kent. Got Ruddo back behind Blackside again.
I wonder if Ruddo's having... Now, I'm not quite sure what's going on here for Blackside, but I wonder if there's potentially a bit of desynchronization going on here, and maybe Ruddo does get past him, but then next thing you know he kind of synchronizes. We've got side by side between the Mercedes. Ricky Maru looking to overtake Ginger Tiger, gets the move done at the De La Roger chicane, and very nice driving from the two Mercedes in that respect to keep it clean.
Yeah, good stuff from Ricky Maru. Ginger Tiger just going
Ricky Maru's off. And Tail Blackside's very lucky. We have a safety car. Darrell is very happy at this point. Blackside very lucky that Ricky Maru's car was ghosted at that point, because he went straight through it with the pure belief that it would ghost. Blackside back ahead of Ruddo.
I think I'm going to go with the theory there's a bit of desync here between Blackside and Ruddo, definitely, because I don't think, having seen Ricky Maru on the outside like that Blackside would genuinely have actually taken that line driving through him. So, yeah, very strange one. I'm on board with Ruddo now, and Blackside's car is very much jumping around all over the place. Ruddo's coming in the pits, so maybe he's going for a change to softs here to try and gain a few places here and get into the points. Because with Ivan now currently leading, that's 5 points lost in the championship battle. It basically gives Ivan a one race lead pretty much on Ruddo.
Yeah, so Roddo chancing it, and it could actually mean for Roddo that even he could use that set of mediums again in the race, because they're only what four and a half laps old, so they're not exactly too worn. So he could always use them if he wanted to in the feature if they have a safety car there. But Sunboy, so this is going to give Sunboy a great chance at Ivan here.
Definitely, yeah, a lot depends on how much he's taken out the tyres already in these first sort of 5 laps, really. We don't really count this lap as a under safety car, but he's going to be somewhere around the 35 to 40% wear, I think, on those soft tyres now. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what sort of performance they've got left in them. He'll have to make a move quick, so a lot depends on how much and how well he reads Ivan's restart. But I'd just like to mention Matty Rudd, on his return after missing a couple of races due to suspension, shall we say, he's just quietly made his way up to 4th place. He's been out of the limelight a bit in this race so far, and yeah, he's there or thereabouts. He's flying the McLaren flag at the moment.
Yeah, there's a couple of points there. Obviously, like I say, we'll go through the standings after this race, obviously prior to the meeting. Because obviously, I think McLaren are in a little bit of a scrap with Haas for the top 2 positions. But luckily, the safety car going round again, which is going to please out. I don't think Car's going to get to the back of this train, you know. Because I think the safety car will probably come in this lap to enable a couple of racing laps.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. Obviously, a vital thing with that as well is there'll be no DRS to the end of the race now. So, yeah, I think, like you say, Kai's gonna. He might make it. It's going to be very, very tight, but he's going to have to do some qualifying laps to get up to the back end of this queue. Darrell now not too far off the back of the queue. The Astons. Yeah, a bit of a disaster for them. Darrell has mentioned that he just got a little bit scared being in P3 and lost control, unfortunately. So, yeah, got the dizzy heights of a top 3 in Tier 2, and it was a bit too much for the Aston driver. Carr has just completely overshot the first chicane, rejoins, and gets away with it.
Yeah, and unfortunately it was Owen that actually had the early ready up, because obviously with the one-shot quali it does kind of change the button mappings for everything. Obviously normally when you're all sat on the grid you press square or whatever the corresponding button is on a PC for Owen. Safety car is in this lap. To go to your setup, but obviously in one shot that means go to track, not do your setup.
Yeah, as you say, in this format that we're running tonight, it is an easy mistake to make. Obviously, no one does it intentionally. It's yeah, as frustrating it is for everyone else, it is an incredibly easy mistake for anyone to make, really. But yeah, restart coming.
So on board with Ivan. When's he gonna go? Still weaving around. He's gonna want to catch Sunboy napping, because those softs, they've had a couple of laps rest, so they're not going to be too bad. And now goes Ivan, and that is a great restart. He has caught the rest of the field napping immediately 7/10, and it's actually going to be Sunboy and Kent under threat here as Matty Rudd right under the wing of the Alpine pulls out to the inside. Kent can't go anywhere but towards the outside of Sunboy. He's going to try around the outside of Sunboy. Very close. Looks like Sunboy goes wide.
But there's a spin 2 off at the back.
Oh, that's Keza. Ginger Tiger. I think the other one involved. But Kent, that was a great move around the outside of turn 1 to get a Sunboy there. And obviously Sunboy probably gave a little bit too much space to the Alpine there, as he now gets overtaken by Ryan and now Ruddo, and the Williams just going backwards here.
So yeah, a slight bit of contact there between Ryan and Sunboy through the second chicane, and Ruddo just capitalised on that. Much like Matty did really there at the start. He saw Sunboy go wide and just followed Kent straight through. So yeah, fantastic racing from both McLarens, and that's Ruddo now into the point. So he's coming back strong now in this race after such a
Ryan round. Start. And it looked like Ryan got on the grass. I don't know whether there's a bit of squeezing from Ruddo. I'm not quite sure, but Ryan now at the back, and that's his sprint race effectively done. Matty Rudd was all over the back of Kent on the entry to Parabolica. He has got Lewis the Beaker right behind him in the Red Bull. On to the final lap of the sprint, and with a 1.5 second gap, Ivan just has to get through this lap, and it should be his victory. Here comes Matty Rudd, though, down to the inside of Kent once again. This time, it looks like job done for the McLaren.
Yeah, good move there from Matty. Lewis almost getting a switchback, but he could well get a run on Kent down here into the second chicane. It's around the outside of Curva Grande. You normally do get the run on the car on the inside, and it's through. Fighting hard though.
Oh, contact between them two.
And Ruddo suddenly finds himself up in fourth, so not very far behind Lewis. Can he catch Lewis before the end of this race?
It's going to be a tough one without the DRS, but it looked like a little bit of contact between Lewis and Kent there. So the Alpines have had a bit of a horrible sprint race, really, from what started out as an okay position.
A bit of a dodgy line from Lewis through Ascari now, so Ruddo has got a slightly better exit, but I think Lewis now showing that he's run out of ERS. I'd assume everyone has as well ERS at this point, yeah. So,
but here we go, back to the front, and it is going to be Ivan Belov who's going to extend his championship lead at the moment. He wins the sprint race at Monza, followed by Matty Rudd on his return. Lewis the Beaker third, Ruddo fourth. Sunboy takes the final point. Darrell takes sixth, just ahead of Blackside, whether that's actually Blackside in his position there. Ginger Tiger, Keza on the tail of the Mercedes, Kent in 10th, Car 11th, Owen Bott in 12th, Ryan 13th. And yeah, that was a fairly exciting sprint race there.
Yeah, I mean, that started off fairly pedestrian by sprint race standards. Not really happened, and then yeah, after that safety car, the last two laps just all sort of kicked off a little bit then, to be honest. But yeah, a brilliant recovery from Ruddo there. At one point, looking like Ivan was going to take 5 points out of him, and he's managed to restrict it to just a 3. So whilst he'll be probably a bit annoyed at the start of that race, I think he'll eventually be quite happy with where he's finished.
Yeah, do you want to take us through the provisional sprint results?
Yeah, so Ivan wins the sprint from Matty Rudd in second, Lewis de Beeker third and Ruddo fourth. Sunboy making it back up to fifth in the end with Darrell in an excellent sixth. Blackside in seventh with Ginger Tiger eighth, Keza ninth, Kent 10th, Car 11th, Owen 12th, and Ryan 13th with Ricky Maru a non-finisher and starting the main race at the back.
Yeah, I see Ricky Maru, very unlucky, just out at Lesmo 2, just caught a bit too much curb and the car twitched, and it was enough to send him into the barriers. He's got a lot of work to do, but I don't know, Bruce, if you've got the championship standings there, or just quickly go through the top 5 in both tables.
Yeah, indeed. So, at the moment in the Drivers' Championship, we've got Ivan Belov leading originally by 10 points, that's now 13 points. After a sprint race from Ruddo. Owen in third, quite a distance back now, so we're looking really, whilst not mathematically, it is really a 2-horse race at the front between Ivan and Ruddo. Scotty still in fourth at the moment, despite not having done quite a few rounds now. Lewis de Beeker fifth, Kuipers sixth, again absent from tonight, with JC Practical, who's also not here tonight, in seventh. Sunboy eighth, Ryan ninth, and Ricey Spicy in 10th. In the driver standings. And in the constructors, Haas currently lead McLaren by 7 points, with Alpine a further 40 points back, Red Bull in fourth, and Ferrari in fifth.
Yeah, what was the gap between the top 2 in the constructors?
It's only 7 points between Haas and McLaren, so yeah, it's still a really, really close fight. Obviously, what you get then, you got a point gain there, I think, for McLaren in that sprint race.
Yeah. So it's down to 6
points. So yeah, it's incredibly close. Ivan looking like the man to beat, but his biggest concern possibly now, really is how good a launch Matty Rudd gets off the line, because being that he's Ruddo's teammate, he can make it a little bit awkward for Ivan and back him up a bit, so that Ruddo can start fighting directly with his title rival.
Yeah, and obviously, speaking about effective strategy here, strategy round here for tyres is very, very hard decision, because as we saw, yesterday. Also, we had a late safety car yesterday. We also had one right at the start of the race. So it's quite hard to determine what tyres you want to pick, because you kind of want to go with the mediums because of the potential early safety car. But it has been known that the safety cars come out later, in which the hard tyres are the better tyre to start on.
Yeah, absolutely. With most circuits and safety cars, really, it's a bit of a lottery as to what tyre you start on. You can have your ideas how the race is going to run, but it never works out like that. And this is one of those circuits you've got to be thinking on the fly. You can't just be saying this is what I'm going to do and stick with it. There's always plenty of variables in the middle. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what people go for.
But here we go. It is the feature race for the Italian Grand Prix. We have the 5 red lights. We are green for the Italian Grand Prix. The question is, who's going to get the best getaway? It looks like the McLaren of Matty Rudd does get a good start. Lewis de Beeker had a great start. He's going to be tailing the McLaren up into turn number 1. He's going to look down the inside, 3 wide, a little bit of contact. There's a few cars off in the background. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Side by side between the two championship rivals then. Ruddo and Ivan. Ruddo's going to get through into 3rd place. Meanwhile, Matty Rudd's going to go round the outside of Curva Grande. Ricky Maru, 10-second time penalty already. That'll probably get retracted. But Matty Rudd will lead into the Della Roggia chicane for the first time of 27. He gets it a little bit wrong, though, but luckily he's able to just fend off the Red Bull. Ruddo in 3rd, Ivan in 4th. Blackside finds himself into 5th. Darrell 6th, and everyone now in a nice line.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that Ivan's gone for the hards to start this race, really, to be honest. He's always going to struggle to stay in front into turn 1. And Matty Rudd's done exactly what we thought he would. There'll definitely be 2 boarders at McLaren, so if Ruddo gets close to Matty, I'm sure he'll be let through straight away. But yeah,
that was a huge accident in the background. That was cut at the Ascari chicane. That was a big accident. He just went absolutely screaming across the background of our screen. That's going to be interesting if that's going to be a safety car or not. Currently, it's just a yellow flag.
And Lewis got a run on Matty here coming up the main straight. I think that's going to be a done deal. But Ruddo also coming past Matty, so it could be, can Ruddo get up the inside? No, he backs out of that one and just settles for 2nd. And Ivan almost going into the back of Matty, it looked like. But yeah, very unfortunate for Keza and Ricky Maru. They both sort of they took one for the team and avoided contact with everyone else. Went up the escape road. Seemed like they took the prescribed route out through the chicaney bits and then got done in 10 seconds each. So I'm pretty sure, as you say, they'll get that 10 seconds removed, both of them.
Yeah. Ginger Tiger was having a little fight there with Ryan, but he just couldn't quite get through. Ruddo chasing after, and you get this sense that Matty Rudd is letting the gap build to Ruddo here. He's giving his teammate a chance, but they're going to have to be careful. They're going to want to keep Matty Rudd within DRS range so that he doesn't get blitzed away by the Haas when DRS becomes enabled at the next lap.
Yeah, absolutely. The advantage Matty does maybe have here is whether or not, being that he's on those mediums, if he can just create a 1 second buffer. But he's had a pretty bad line there through Parabolica, and Ivan's all over the back of him already.
And so Blackside is closing in on the pair of them as Ivan gets past the McLaren for 3rd place. Ruddo now alongside. Everything happening then in these first few laps. Ruddo to the lead, and did look like Blackside was going to make a move, but backed out of it in the background. But the McLaren of Ruddo leads, and this is what he needs for his championship, and McLaren for the constructors right now. But Lewis de Beeker, about a 10th. He's going to look to the inside, is he? No, he thinks better of it. Probably the smart move whilst we're on lap number 3.
Yeah, and I think at the moment, with the fact that Ivan is a second and a half behind Lewis, he can be patient enough to wait for the DRS, so there's absolutely no need to be throwing it up the inside at this stage of the race. You know, he's got time. Although good exit there for Ruddo, so he's going to be safe coming up to Ascari, I think. But obviously, the way these DRS zones work, this run up to Ascari pulls you right up to the car in front, and then gives you a great opportunity then going down the main straight into the first chicane.
Yeah, as Matty Rudd is hoping to achieve, as he's behind Ivan at the moment, and that sounds like a twitch from someone.
Sorry, yeah, a bit of a wobble for Darrell there out of Ascari. I thought he was going exit stage left, coming out of the chicane, but he's held on to it. He's a little bit ragged through Parabolica though, and that's some boy up the inside.
And we've got a yellow flag. That is Ricky Maru, I believe, off at Parabolica.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Lewis not quite past, but here comes Matty Rudd for third place to the outside of turn one, the first chicane. He'll have the inside, and a lovely move from the McLaren gets him up into third, and Blackside is now going to be challenging Ivan. So Ivan in a bit of strife at the moment at the early part of this race, especially with Matty Rudd kind of backing him up into the Alfa Romeo behind. He's not going to be too comfortable in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ivan's kind of half put himself in this position by starting on the hard tyres. Having said that, he's not really dropping that far behind the guys in front, so he's going to have a faster tyre later in the race. So really, this stage of the race for Ivan is just basically about keeping his nose clean, I think, and then having a good crack later once he's actually on the better tyre.
So although Matty Rudd's car looks like he's got a decent bit of straight line speed here, but I think it's not going to help him come the exit of Parabolica. But he is definitely the head of the next train, as I think Lewis the Beaker was having a look at Ruddo, but thought better of it. Into Parabolica then, Matty Rudd on the inside, looking just to allow Blackside to a sniff almost at Ivan, to take his focus away, but Ivan should open up the DRS, and that should be moved done once again. Here comes Blackside on the inside. Oh my word, this is close, and big crash down the main straight.
That was a huge crash.
That is
Absolutely.
Safety car out as well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That was, 3 cars wide. You can go 3 cars wide there, but not like that, unfortunately. That was, that'll definitely be going to the stewards, that one, I think. I couldn't really tell you from what I saw who was to blame for that one exactly from my point of view then, but I don't think that's the last we're going to hear of that one.
No, it's going to be an interesting one to know what happens there, because in reality Blackside kind of went half on, half off the track to make the move. Matty Rudd didn't really change his line in that respect, and obviously a collision has occurred, and that was a big accident, and we hope Matty's okay after that, because that was very hefty into the wall.
I know he's had problems before with his steering wheel nearly hurting doing his wrists in. That's not going to be much fun either, I shouldn't imagine. But I'd have to, at first glance from that, I'd have to agree with you. I don't think Matty Rudd really did anything wrong. He was just a sandwich, but he was right in the middle of the sandwich, and
Roddo in the pits.
I think we could be seeing Roddo switching to hards, going for the free pit stop here. And Ginger Tiger also in, Ryan, Blackside, Darrell, Keza, they're all coming in for probably hard tyres. And this is where Ivan could lose out here, because he's got to stay on the hards. He can't come in for mediums, he's going to have to make another stop anyway. So, I'm amazed that Ivan has avoided damage in that crash as well, to be honest. He's still going around with no serious damage to the car.
Yeah, very lucky to escape that one, Ivan. And interesting, Ketta's gone on the soft compound tyre, and that's not going to the end, I can assure you. So he's going to have to make another pit stop. But this is really not what McLaren needed, was one of the drivers out of the race. It's going to give a massive boost to the Haas team for tonight here.
Absolutely. A massive disaster, really, as you say, for the McLaren team, and it's that really shouldn't be happening, but it's happened, and sadly, that's motor racing. That's motor racing when it all goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, and the other thing we have to bear in mind, obviously, Owen is not in the car, so he does not count in these results. Darrell is a Tier 3 driver. He does not count towards these results either. So everyone behind those drivers do automatically move up a place. So we are down to 10 Tier 2 drivers here. So finish and they get points.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless Owen, I'm not sure what the rules are because Owen didn't start the race in the car. Whether or not if he can get back in, whether or not he would score points. But
I get the feeling that Owen probably left for the. I don't quite know what happened to Owen, if I'm completely honest, because I don't know, he disconnected from the first race and has decided, because obviously the car's got the wrong setup on. Whether he thought that didn't really, it was just a bad night from start to finish. He preferred an early night, but
yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen no signs of Owen attempting to get back in so far, have we? So, yeah, I'd have to assume, as you say, he's probably not going to be scoring points tonight. So, yeah, as you say, if you can get a finish now, you're getting points.
And Ricky Maru doing what I consider not necessarily the smartest thing, but a smart move. He's come back in the pitch. He's fitted a set of softs because he got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I don't know what that other penalty is. Oh, that's his 10 seconds
from 10 seconds, which obviously you can't serve in the pit lane. It's only the 5-second one. So, and we're pretty sure he's going to get that 10 seconds removed.
Yeah.
And also Keza. So at the moment, as it stands, I would assume that nobody has penalties at the moment.
But obviously, Ricky Maru did pick up 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane when he came in. So a bit of a smart move there from him to come back in on a safety car, get that 5 seconds served, so that he's effectively penalty free. Yeah, I believe because obviously most people, as far as people are concerned, it's normally multiples of 5 you can serve in the pits. However, on this game, if it's a track limit infringement, whether that be 3 seconds or 10 seconds, you cannot serve it regardless. But we are about to go back racing again.
Yeah, we're looking now really that Ruddo is kind of the net race leader really, because everyone in front of him still has to pit. Ricamaru, I'm sure.
Oh, and Lewis has gone early. Or has he? Yes, he has gone early. And Ken's gone around. I think it's that Ivan's gone round. Ivan's gone round in Parabolica on the restart, and it's caused absolute chaos at the moment because Ruddo trying not to pass Kent. So he doesn't get any penalty, but it looks like Ruddo's going to get down the inside of him up towards turn number 1. Ryan has out. What was he done there?
I'm not really sure. It looks as though he's in the pits though, so maybe it's just a pit lane retirement. I'm not really sure.
Could be, yeah.
Unless he got involved there in the restart, got damaged, and just decided that was it. He'd had enough, perhaps. But yeah, bonkers stuff. Absolutely bonkers.
So, I mean, this is getting very interesting just between the McLarens and the Haas's now, because see, Ivan now at the back of the pack, still to make a pit stop. Ruddo near the front of the pack. He's on the tail of Kent. If he can get past Kent here, because it just looks like Kent doesn't quite have the pace of those ahead. Ginger Tiger, that's just going past the AI bot of Owen. Yeah, it looks like Kent, obviously, the tyres have to get warmed up with those hards, and they're just not quite firing yet for Kent or Ruddo in reality. Ricky Maru up to 6th after that restart.
Yeah, obviously he's on the sauce, so he's going to have to pit again. I think Ricky Maru would have liked another lap of safety car. He could have potentially come in and bolted the hards back on and used them. I don't know if he started on hards, but even if he did, he still would have gone to the end of the race, and it would have been an option. But yeah, as Ricky Maru drives straight past Ginger Tiger there on those softs, and Ruddo ahead of Kent.
Yeah, that's...
But he misses.
Just missing the braking point. And that's not ideal from Ruddo. He's now down to 6th place. However, I think now Ginger Tiger inherits the race net lead based on those tyre ages, because we know Ricky Maru's going to have another pit stop.
It definitely seems like the race that no one wants to win at the moment. So yeah, there's plenty of action at the moment. No one seems able to have a clean run so far. So yeah, a massive gap already between Sunboy in 2nd and Kent in 3rd due to that chaos at the restart as well. So yeah, as you say, Ginger Tiger now in the net race lead. I don't think he'd have expected to have been there at the start of this race.
No, I mean, how long is a pit stop around here? It's about 25 seconds, we think,
You'd
because
have
of
to
the
say
speed.
so, something like that. Yeah, because it's such a long pit lane as well. So,
As Ricky Maru gets
um,
past Kent now on those soft tyres.
yeah, you'd have, as you say, you'd have to say probably low to mid twenties there somewhere. So, um, yeah, as it stands, I mean, even Lewis is going to come out right at the back of the field once he finally comes in.
As Ivan gets past the bottom of Owen, that's up towards the first corner. Sunboy is just 3.5 tenths now. What do you do if you're Sunboy here? Because quite clearly, Sunboy's got some pace about him, but you've got Ricky Maru, who you know who's got to pit anyway. He's 5 seconds behind, and you know you're gaining time and gapping Kent. So is this just a kind of a let's just work with Lewis here, try and build the gap as much as we can, and then use the fresh tyres at the end to close whatever we can't gap?
Yeah, that's always one option, but we know what we're all like when we get behind the wheel. If we can see a move on, we'll always take that move. So, will be interesting to see how they play this. Some boy, as you say, he's looking like he's got the pace on Lewis at the moment. Um, some boy has been doing some strange strats as well the last few weeks, so it'd be interesting to see if he can pull something out of the bag again and do something a little bit out of the ordinary to try and maximise his position. But Rick and Maru is coming in fast up behind these guys. I think he's just taken.
And Sunboy making the move up the main straight into turn number 1. No DRS either, because I think it's enabled either this lap or next lap. But yeah, Sunboy into the lead of this race, and the car is looking very quick. But now Lewis in the slipstream is going to be coming back at him. Question is, I think he's not going to get him until after Lesmo 2.
Yeah, Bredo also getting past Ginger Tiger there as well. So he's making his way back up to the head of the actual main race as it stands. But if these guys keep making mistakes behind, then the guys in the front still have an opportunity in this race. And with the potential for safety cars still, I know there's only 10 cars out there running competitively at the moment, but it only takes one safety car, and the guys at the front get a 10-second pit stop pretty much.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Sunboy's starting to gap Lewis here, so just a little bit, although Lewis should have the DRS, I think, on this lap coming up through after Parabolica. Meanwhile, Ruddo is closed rapidly back in on Kent, and Sunboy sets the fastest lap of the race. Although he doesn't get a good run, and Ginger Tiger, I don't know what's happening with Ruddo, but he just can't seem to get through Parabolica without losing a considerable amount of time, as Lewis has now outbraked himself into the first chicane and takes to the escape road, and he'll take a 3-second time penalty. Now that could be one of two things. It could just be an instant penalty, or it could be that is actually his third warning, as Ruddo gets back past Ginger Tiger.
Yeah, as you say, Ruddo does seem to be struggling tonight. He's struggled with stopping the car, and he's struggled, as you say, through that final corner. Maybe he's just running incredibly, really, really low wing, nearly nigh on no wing at all, and that's potentially what's harming his chance of stopping the car.
Keza had a little bit of a twitch out of Lesmo 1. He is obviously on those soft compound tyres, so he's got to come back in again anyway. But you don't want to be twitching out of the first Lesmo, I can tell you that much. As Ruddo looking to try and get back onto the back of the Alpine. Sunboy out front by 3 seconds now, obviously after Lewis's mistake. And you have to feel that Ricky Maru's advantage on those softs are probably now gone, because he's not exactly taking a load of time out of Lewis now.
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, 5-6 laps is sort of the where their advantage is, and after that they do they do start to struggle a little bit more, and that's Ruddo on Kent by the looks of it.
Yeah, down the inside for the McLaren should be pretty simple. Is simple, and Kent not doing anything too silly to try and defend that one. Obviously, fresher tyres for Ruddo, and Kent still has to make that pit stop. So, obviously, we don't necessarily like letting people through, but sometimes you have to think of your own race first.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some, there's still over half of this race left to go, amazingly. So it's, there's a time and a place. Sometimes you just got to know what your fight is, and also, know when that corner's not yours, and to fight another day. Obviously, Redo's looking like he's got some, he's starting to switch those hard tyres on now by the looks of it. Obviously, he's having a few moments here and there, but overall, Rickenori's right on the back of Lewis as well now.
Yeah, I wonder if Lewis has made a small error through one of the Lesmos. Obviously, as we've seen, is easy to do round here. But Ricky Maru's going to have DRS. Question is, how much of a rocket ship is that car? We're not going to really find out because Lewis decides it's time for a new set of tyres. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to extend that stint a little bit on those mediums, unless he has maybe worn them, or the temperatures come up a little bit too high for him to carry on them.
Yeah, it could just be that at that point now he felt, he obviously had the little wobble somewhere on that lap, and he's decided that those tyres have now seen their best, unfortunately. So yeah, he's coming, obviously, as you say, for the hards to get him to the end of the race. But yeah, as I said before, that's dropped him right down to the back of the field now, with Keza as well, having Keza on those softs there for a while. So yeah, we're going out to third. It'll be first very, very soon. Ginger Tiger here currently in fifth, but that will quickly become second, I think. And Darrell will be third.
Now, by my estimates, I think the loss in the pit lane for Lewis there was about 23, 24 seconds. As Ricky Maru picks up a penalty for himself for corner cutting. So currently that would put Sunboy about 15, 16 seconds behind Ruddo, which is a large gap to make, but on brand spanking new tyres, not necessarily not doable, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, a lot depends on what he goes from Ricky Maru now in the pits as well, so that'll bump everyone up a place there. Not quite everyone, but mostly everyone. Yeah, the problem Sunboy's going to have is that, he's going to come in for the hard tyres. They're going to be fresher than Ruddo's tyres, but I don't think he's going to be able to take huge amounts out of him. That's right, backside up the inside of Darrell.
No, it was actually Ginger Tiger Kent. There was a little bit of contact going into the second part of the first chicane. Ginger Tiger just got a little bit squirrely, but he has completed that move to be third at present, and technically net second. As you say, Blackside up into fifth place. I think Darrell just again maybe doesn't have quite the right setup on the car, but he's still going well. He's putting in consistent times here.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, going back to Sunboy, obviously the tyre he's going to want to make the most time is softs. And we know he does some strange strategies, but I think by the time he actually sort of drags this out enough to come in for softs, Ruddo's not going to be far off the back end of him. Darrell there just getting out of the way of Ivan, not getting involved in the championship fights. That's pretty sensible from him. Albeit I think he's going to be back in front of Ivan within the next 5 laps anyway. When Ivan comes into pit, but yeah, looking actually, it says we're on lap 16. Ivan's hards are 14 laps old.
That's because Sunboy has gone across the line. Ivan's now just gone across the line there.
I'm just being dense. It's fine. So yeah, Sunboy, I think he's not going to be able to catch Ruddo by the end of this race, no matter what he does, unless obviously we get a late safety car.
At which point you think maybe Ruddo might come in for a set of softs to give himself some fresh boots, as Ricky Maru re-overtakes Lewis into turn number 1. He goes a little bit deep though. It's going to allow Lewis a switchback attempt out of 2. Out towards Curva Grande they go. Question is, who's going to be using the ERS more? It looks like Ricky Maru.
Yeah.
It's Ginger Tiger. Lesmo 1. So Lesmo 1 catching a few people out. Make sure he doesn't beach himself on the outside curb, as you can do on this game.
Can't quite see if he's got damage yet because of the camera angle.
Looks like he's okay. Looks like he's got away with it.
Still attached, so yeah, bit of a disaster that, because Ginger Tiger was running a net second there. So
Yeah, that puts Black Side net second.
However, I don't know what, the incident now with Matty and Ivan on the pit straight. I can, with Blackside obviously was involved with that one as well, so it would be interesting to see how that affects
Ivan overtakes him into turn 1. Tell that's very aggressive that was from Ivan. Just immediately back to that racing line as soon as he got past. It was very aggressively come across. Obviously, very much entitled to do that. But normally you don't see drivers coming straight back to the line as soon as. Normally they don't take the risk of the driver behind accidentally outbraking themselves.
Absolutely, yeah. You're definitely putting a lot of faith in the braking ability of the car behind, and it can go quite wrong sometimes. But he's on a mission, is Ivan. But he's going to be down in 10th, I think, by the time they finally actually come in and get the...
Something to note as well, sorry Bruce, some boys gapped Ruddo by a second here. It's now 9.2, 9.3, so I can only assume that some boys may be trying to deplete his ERS here to give himself a bigger gap as Kent's out at the exit of Ascari.
Sorry, Ascari.
And it's a safety car. It is a safety car, and I reckon Ruddo might come in for a set of soft tyres here.
He's coming in the pit. Some boy has missed the pit entrance, so a bit of a disaster there for Some boy.
The only thing for Sunboy though is that he's not been picked up by the safety car.
Okay.
So this might help, but I think he will still have to go by the Delta. Soft tyres it is for Ruddo. Ivan, this has worked out beautifully for him. He's now in third place in this race, right behind his Ruddo. He'll be going onto the soft tyres. I think everyone's basically coming into the pits, apart from Ricky Maru, who's decided to stay out on those mediums.
Yeah, not a bad shout on mediums there for Ricky. I mean, we saw with the T3 yesterday with F3 side that there was on the restart towards the end, the softs were good, but the hard tyres actually were good enough to defend against them for quite a long period of the end of that race. So I thought the mediums will definitely be enough of a match over the distance that's left remaining once the safety car comes in. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Some boy, as you say, I think he'll be fine. He'll still come out in first place now. So he's lucked in fairly well there, I think. Some boy.
Yeah, looks like Kent. He's just lost it through either the right or the left, or he's lost it through the right and it's finished off in the left. Very easy to do at Ascari, even not touching anything because of the weight transfer of the car and the fact you don't have the wings, the aerodynamics from the wings to try and stabilise the car at all because you're running them so low. Obviously, that weight transfer can cause the car to get loose and ultimately spin. But I tell you what, Sunboy here, he's leading this race.
Yeah, by quite some distance as well. I mean,
and Ricky Maru
comes in the pits now. Strange decision that, I think.
Yeah. And unless he's thinking, because obviously Ricky Maru isn't actually scoring points for Mercedes, he is just a filler. So I wonder if he decided to do this to allow Ginger Tiger, who is scoring points for that team, the ability to not double stack. But it looks like he's going to get back out ahead of Ginger Tiger anyway. Yeah,
I'd be surprised. Ricky normally he's quite competitive, I think, so he's always going to want to go for the result. A strange one, really, but yeah. Now Ivan in fourth. Keza's going to let him pass straight away. I'm sure of that when we go green. Some interesting decisions on the old safety cars, but yeah, some boy had a hell of a gap there, and I don't know whether or not there was a bit of a strangeness with the deltas for everyone. And I think some boy would still have come out in front anyway. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But to come out of the pits with the gap that he did have was a little bit strange, to be honest. But I don't think it's really affected the result so far that much.
Yeah, just getting a bit of extra information on that safety car restart where Ivan and Kent both spun, lost their cars. Apparently, the game took away some of their throttle for being, obviously the leader being a little bit too close to the safety car. So which is a bit of a shame for that one, because we don't really want the game interfering with the safety car restarts. It causes all sorts of mayhem.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, these things are present in the game. Not ideal, but yeah, not great for everyone. But we're down to eight scorers now in this race, with Darrell obviously being a filler, a tier 3 filler, and Owen still AI running around for him. So yeah, we're just down to 8 players now, or 8 drivers rather.
Yeah, so eight tier 2 drivers, 9 drivers still in the race. Darrell, who qualified 6th, finished the sprint race in 6th, is current, and then started this race in 6th, is still currently 6th. It's so far been a successful race up to this point for Darrell so far.
Yeah, he's had a good race. He had a bit of a disaster in the sprint earlier, but yeah, he's kept his nose fairly clean in this race so far, hasn't he? And it's definitely paying off. Will be interesting to see what he does fighting wise. We saw before that he just let Ivan straight through, didn't really get involved, knowing that Ivan's in a fight with Ruddo, but knowing that everyone else is maybe not quite so much in a championship battle, you'd expect he maybe give it a bit of a harder effort against some of the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, you get the sense really of Darrell. He doesn't really want to. He doesn't want to crash anyone here because it's not his tier. I think he does this, in my opinion, really for a bit of confidence boosting, because he's had a bit of a horrible season in tier 3 in terms of finding walls in races. So I think for him, just getting to the end of these tier 2 races, maybe just gives him that bit of confidence, especially because he competes in RP on Thursdays as the safety car is coming in.
Yeah, definitely. It's always helpful. The more practice, the better sometimes, and there's no better practice than an actual race environment. Yeah, here we go. Some boy not gone yet.
When does he go? That's the question. Goes now, almost right on the line. I'll tell you what, he hasn't exactly got away from Ruddo here. But Ivan, as we're looking on the back of the Williams, here comes Ruddo. Will he look to the outside? Yes, he will. Can he go around the outside? No, he decides to back off on that one. Oh, and that's a Mercedes of Ricky Maru sending it down the outside. And Ruddo's got a bad exit out of the chicane. And Ivan Belov all over the back end of him as Ricky Maru picks up 5 seconds for corner cutting. That'll probably get rescinded. But good restart from Ruddo. From Ruddo. Everyone had a good restart, but some boys just had a better second phase out of that second corner as Lewis. Oh, more collision. And there's Darrell into the wall. And once again, it's Blackside getting caught up in another 3-wide incident. It's not been a good day for the Alfa Romeo.
Bit of a reset to track there for Blackside as well. So not exactly abiding by the rules there, but yeah, I think he may have got beached, so he's just reset. But yeah, I don't know what to make of that one either. To be honest, again, that's
we call that late.
Yeah, we did catch that very late. So yeah, unfortunately, we're just saying how good Darrell was having a good race, and
I do feel like that is in no way Darrell's fault. I think he's a bit of an innocent bystander and all of that, which is a big shame for Darrell, because yeah, he was going very well, having a lovely time. Unfortunately, that's happened. But back to the racing, we have 8 physical cars in now racing. So does anyone want to go back to the old school F1 point system, top 8 score?
We might have to at this rate, I think. It used to be 6 years ago, back when I was a little one. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame we're down to this many drivers. There's been plenty of incidents, and yeah, I think stewards might be a little bit busy this week.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be wrong on that statement. But the question is, we have 6 laps, including this one, remaining. Can Ruddo catch that 1 second to Sunboy, get in that DRS and escape from Ivan and potentially win this race? Because Sunboy, this has worked out very beautifully for him as long as he can stay up front here. Ricky Maru is on the back of Ginger Tiger. Lewis just gradually creeping up to the back of Keza, who on those hards I think is going to struggle here. I think he might end up finishing probably 7th. The way if this stays green all the way through.
Yeah, a lot depends on a little bit of a wobble there for Lewis coming at a Parabolica. It looked like he was about to have a great run on Keza and then just had a slight wiggle. And I mean, he's going to get him anyway, I think, here. Although Keza's quick in a straight line.
Is he quick enough? That's the question. Or is he late enough on the brakes? Ooh. It's very, very close. Tiniest bit of contact, I think, but nothing major. And Lewis ends up now losing a bit of time to the Haas. And here comes Ricky Maru looking to go around the outside of Ginger Tiger. The two Mercedes side by side. Down towards the De La Roja chicane. And that is move done for Ricky Maru. At the front, Ruddo now 1.2 behind Sunboy. I think Sunboy's trying to use a little bit of ERS in that last lap to stay out of reach of that DRS area.
Yeah, Ruddo and Sunboy's gap is fairly stabilised at the moment, but Ivan is not making any inroads to Ruddo. So I think as soon as Ruddo can get within, if indeed he can get in with that in that 1 second gap to Sunboy, then I think Ivan's going to be probably having to
spin for Lewis, the beaker into the wall. The front wing is off at the exit of Ascari, and that's going to be a new front wing required. And back of the pack for Lewis. It's a bit of a shame for the Red Bull because he was looking quick and looking to get past Keza there, as now it's going to be Ricky Maru's turn to look at the Haas, and this time he should have DRS to make this a little bit easier.
Yeah, Lewis just getting out of the way of everyone there as well. A disaster for Lewis, really. As I said, no one really wants to get a result in this race at the moment. Everyone's having issues left, right and centre, but it is a danger of how competitive this tier is that you really have to push lap after lap. Ruddo's now within that 1 second of Sunboy.
Yeah, so it's almost like Ruddo, it takes Ruddo an extra lap or so to get those tyres really fired up in comparison to Sunboy, but he's within DRS. He's going to have the aid of that probably now till the end of the race, you'd have to think, because it's just going to drag him closer to that Williams. Ivan 4.2 to Ruddo now. He's lost a lot of time, and Ricky Maru is not far behind him.
Yeah, I think Ivan just made a small mistake through, I wasn't sure if it was the first or second Lesmo he made a mistake, Ricky Maru is all over the back of him here. You'd have to say Ricky Maru's going to get this done now to turn 1, so whether Ivan's sporting a bit of damage perhaps, I don't know, but he's very much struggling through the corners. That's an easy pass there for Ricky.
Yeah. Now, obviously, it's showing that Ricky Maru's got 18 seconds worth of penalties. I think 15 of those will be rescinded. So I think he's only got 3 seconds in reality for Ricky Maru against him. Obviously, Keza is penalty free as far as we are concerned in terms of the reasons for the penalties they've been given. So that's something to bear in mind for Ricky Maru. He's going to want to escape up the road if he's going to want to keep this 3rd place. Obviously, provisionally on the road, he's not going to keep it.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep an eye on here. He's half a second going into this chicane here on Ivan. Ivan's definitely struggling. Ricky's just taken 4/10 out of him just in that.
Do we feel chicane. Maybe Ivan's got a bit of front wing damage here because it's all through the corners, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very, very much struggling through corners, big time. He's going to have to let Keza go in a minute at this rate, because otherwise Keza, his teammate, is going to be under attack from Ginger Tiger. So this is a bit of a dilemma for the Haas drivers here as to how to play this one. They could easily both lose out if they're not too careful. Yeah,
do you sacrifice one round in the Drivers' Championship and let Keza go to try and keep some decent points for the constructors, or do you risk it because Ginger Tiger is looking very racy behind Keza right now, and obviously Keza and Ginger Tiger will have DRS. Maybe this is the plan. If Keza can get past with DRS, Ivan might let him go. But you can see that there's still a little bit of grip left with those soft tyres at the moment. Ruddo 8/10 behind. You just can't quite get close enough at the moment to make use of that DRS.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just under 2 laps to go now. So Ruddo, as you say, he just can't quite get close enough at the moment. I'm very intrigued by the Haas though. This is a bit of a situation they found themselves in here.
You can see as well, obviously, Ricky Maru now 2.1 ahead of Ivan. You feel the best way to play this, surely, because we're thinking Ricky Maru has only 3 seconds worth of penalties as Lewis picks up the fastest lap on soft compound. Yeah, but if we're thinking that maybe Ricky Maru's only got 3 seconds worth of penalties, he's going to keep that third place if the other penalties get rescinded away from him here because of the time he's taken
off. It's Ricky Maru.
It's Ricky Maru. Oh my word!
And there won't be a safety car for that one
because we're approaching the last lap.
Yeah, that takes the equation of will Ricky Maru get penalties removed or not? No. Because his wheel's been removed, unfortunately. But yeah, Ivan, Keza, Ginger Tiger, he just can't quite get them in a straight line. This DRS that Keza's getting from Ivan is enough at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it says to me that Ivan's using ERS to stay ahead of Keza. Keza's only using DRS because it's just about quick enough to fend off Ginger Tiger. I mean, they're all going to have quite low ERS at the moment. Oh, some boy's round into the wall, and he's out of the race from the lead.
In the last lap, oh wow, this race is unreal.
Why does this feel like Monaco with walls a lot further away from the circuit?
I've said it all race. I'm getting bored saying it. No one wants to win this race. Just keep an eye on Ruddo now coming up to Sky, see if he can get through there unscathed.
I think with an 8-second gap, you feel that Ruddo's not going to take any sort of risk here. But I can't believe some boy, he just dropped it on the exit of the Della Roggia chicane, and he took the rear left wheel off along with the wing. It's absolute madness here at the Italian Grand Prix. I mean, we've seen all sorts happen here, but we're going to see Ruddo cross the line. He will win the Italian Grand Prix, I believe the second win in a row for Ruddo so far. Between here and Netherlands. Ivan will take second place. Technically, Ginger Tiger on the road will be third. We think Keza might get those penalties back. But he's going to be fourth for now. Blackside, after all the carnage he's been caught up in, he'll be fifth place. Owen's not actually in the car, so he's not sixth. So the last finisher is going to be Lewis the Beaker.
Well, don't speak too soon. He's just got the parabolica still to negotiate the way this race has gone. But yeah, I mean, yeah, only 6 point scoring finishers in this race. I think I'd be understating it if I said that was dramatic, to be honest. Not often half the grid end up on the podium.
No. No. Absolutely. As Lewis does finally cross that line to pick up 6th in the race. I mean, I don't think we have... I mean, somehow Ricky Maru's managed to crash the car and take driver of the day.
EA Sports is in the game. Yeah. Interesting decision now for driver of the day.
I'd love to know the percent. I'm guessing the percentages of that might have come on lap 26 or lap 25, something of that nature.
They must have sent that vote out during, as you say, like lap 20 or 21 or something. A very interesting one, that. But yeah, unbelievable race. I don't think any words can sum up just how crazy that was. And for some boy there, he was set for the win, and to go off at the second chicane. Yeah, just unbelievable.
I mean, we've got to try and think about some questions for the podium runners here on this one, because so much has happened. But
Prix, would you still having to question myself as to what has happened, to be honest. But yeah, 2 seconds. We'll get to the race results. So yeah, Ruddo there taking a last lap win there with in the McLaren with Ivan Beloff, his championship rival, somehow making his way back up to second. It was quite incredible. Ginger Tiger in third, great result for him, with Keza in fourth. Blackside fifth, with Owen Bott in sixth, which will actually be Lewis Beaker in sixth. Some boy cracking out on the last lap there in eighth, with Ricky Maru in ninth. Both obviously crashed out during the race, and the official non-finishers are Darrell, Kent, Ryan, Matthew Rudd, and Kerr.
So there you go. That was the carnage of the Italian Grand Prix for Tier 2. We do have a couple of drivers in. I think we're just waiting for Ivan to come in I wouldn't normally message, but Ivan does know the drill for the podium ceremony and the interviews. But I suspect he's just making sure he's got some pictures. But yeah, I actually say, Bruce, there's not really a lot of words to describe that race, I think.
Yeah, it was just pure chaos, really. It went through like periods of a lull, and then it just suddenly would just kick off again. So, yeah, very, very unpredictable. And obviously, as you say, that last safety car made a massive difference to the outcome of that race as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have every driver in. So we will start with Ginger Tiger, I think, because third place. Congratulations, Ginger. It's a nice result considering the season. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, might be your first podium this season.
Sorry, yeah, I did have one in Austria, but it was taken away from me for a 5-second penalty. But yeah, I'm pleased with it. It's just about staying out of trouble. I was a bit gutted with myself because I was quite comfortable on the hards, and then I went and spun on my own free wheel on turn 5 for no reason at all. I don't know what happened, but then the safety car came out, and it was just stay out of trouble really. Lots of stuff going on around me, but it was making sure my front wings are intact and the rest of me stayed on the track.
Yeah, so obviously at the end there, you're behind both the Hasses. Obviously, I mean, we kind of think in the commentary box that Kez's time penalty may get removed, but obviously that's up to the stewards, not us. But you're behind them. Was the plan to stay behind them, or did you just not quite have the
No,
pace just to get past them?
no. I on the last lap, my plan was to overtake. It was Ivan that I was interested in because that would have given me the podium, but before Sunboy had lost it. But I made a mistake on turn coming out of the turn 2, and I nearly lost it trying to accelerate too quickly. And he pulled 8 tenths of a second, so I thought I'm not going to catch him now because I was going to have to use all my ERS to catch him up. So it was a case of just getting as close as possible at the end, just in case penalties do come, get removed. So I knew there was no penalties for Ivan. I didn't know about Ruddo, so just about keeping all that trouble really today. I'm quite happy with it. As I said, it's my first season without traction control, so trust me, it's hard. You know, it's hard going just to keep persevering, but I'll get there in the end.
No, absolutely, and obviously you kind of proven that obviously just staying in the race, no matter how bad it might go. Obviously, if you spin or anything like that, you see it can pay off. Bruce, any questions for Ginger?
Yeah, well done on the podium, mate. As you said just previously, just a minute ago, you obviously you had that spin earlier in the race. Um, how surprised were you to find yourself actually up in the podium come the end of the race, and how surprised were you seeing all the cars sort of falling by the wayside around you?
Before I had the spin, I think I was running third. I was behind Ruddo at the time when I had the spin on the hards, and I knew I had good pace. I haven't got I've got a little bit more downforce than a couple of the drivers, so you know I haven't got the outright speed. But if I have a good run on somebody, I know I can get past them. It was literally just keeping it on the track and keeping it away. But yeah, I'm delighted to be third on the podium. You know, however long it may last, depending on Keza. But no, yeah, over the moon. Congratulations to Ruddo and Ivan, by the way. That was a good race in the end.
Congratulations, Ginger. Obviously,
Thank you.
you'll be hoping you keep that, but only time will
Yeah.
tell.
No, do you know what? It is what it is, and I wasn't expecting any podiums this year. You know, last couple of years I've been on the podiums, you know, every race or every other race, and this year I wasn't expecting any. I'm just trying to get used to everything. So hopefully next year I'll be back to normal.
Absolutely, but we'll go on to Ivan. Congratulations, Ivan! Another podium. I mean, it kind of feels like a bit of a surprise podium for you in that, considering where you were before the safety car.
Yeah, that was insane to be honest. I started first, then I was the last and finished the second. congratulations to the podium guys, and big thank you to my mate Chiesa. He did a great team job tonight, and I don't remember when was the contact with Matty. I don't remember the lap.
It will be hard pushed for us to remember that after that race.
It was a seventh lap or
Lap
so,
5.
and
that was 5-6, I think.
It was lap 5.
and I've got rear wing damage. My rear wing, sorry, was orange, and the car was so oversteery entering the turns. I struggled a lot entering the Ascari. Tried my best, but it was so hard to drive this car.
Yeah, it was something me and Bruce were wondering. Because at the end, obviously, everyone around you was just that much quicker. We were wondering if you did pick up any damage. Obviously, we can't see that rear wing damage, but it's good to know. But just to go back to I believe the first safety car restart where you spanned the car, we got some information from Kent that potentially is because the game took away the throttle. Is that correct? If you just talk us through that one.
I already had rear wing
That was
damage,
the rear wing damage. Yeah.
I think it was because of that.
No, absolutely. Obviously, in terms of championship for you, if I'm not mistaken, that's possibly no net gain or loss, I think, between you and Ruddo, which puts you in good stead, but still quite close for the last 3 rounds.
Yeah, I just hope that we will have more clean races and without that chaos.
Absolutely. Bruce, any questions for Ivan?
Yeah, well done on second, mate. As Jordan's alluded to with the incident there with Matty and Blackside early in the race, and then your spin at the end. On the safety car restart. You must be delighted, really, to actually end up finishing where you did in the race, given that you could have easily lost a lot of points to Ruddo there, and another day could have easily DNF'd with those incidents.
Yeah, that's true. I'm really delighted, but I'm a little bit disappointed about the incident and the damage. It was hard to manage in the race, not to spin or something like that.
Yeah, no, obviously rearing damage never nice to have. Well, congratulations, Ivan. Obviously, another second place, another podium for you. But we go to the race winner, and is now second in a row after he took victory at the Netherlands. Ruddo, congratulations, another win on your tally. It's quite a nice feeling, but was that a little bit of a surprise at the end when some boy spun it at the Della Roggia?
Yeah, I could see him struggling a little bit on the last couple of laps. So it was just a case of trying to put some pressure on him. I'd used up all my ERS, so it was just a case of him trying to get him to make a mistake. But I'll take it.
Me and Bruce didn't know that you seem to struggle to slow the car down a little bit in turns 1, but you also seem to struggle out of Parabolica. Was there any particular reason for that? Was it because of setup base maybe just not quite giving you the grip, or it just seemed like you struggled in those 2 corners for braking and then obviously accelerating out with the Parabolica?
So for turn 1, only because where that crash happened, I didn't have any marker boards, and that was the first time I went down there. So by the time I'd realised there weren't any, I just had to go down the escape road. And then I think once around the Parabolic, I just had a bit of a sideways moment, and lucky that Ginger Tiger didn't sort of drive into me. He did well to avoid me. So that's just a mistake on my part. But yeah, I don't know what was up with everyone tonight, really. I think just to correct Ivan, it wasn't Matty that took you out down the straight. But yeah, I don't know what was up with everyone tonight. It was just a case of avoiding everything. And I think just to top it off in the sprint, I had to reset my steering wheel. So all the buttons changed. So I spent, I think, a lap and a half trying to get the buttons back, which didn't help.
No, absolutely. That's not the ideal situation. Obviously, looking at the championship picture, obviously this is just us thinking. We could be wrong, but obviously we believe, as we said, either no net gain, no net loss, which obviously puts you at 10 points, 3 rounds to go. I mean, you have to feel Wilkes probably, as you said previously, is not going to be an easy challenge against Ivan, but that there is still that opportunity in these last 3 to close that gap up.
I think I said it last week. I think all the time we've got like 10 people racing, it's not really going to happen. You can see tonight, obviously Ivan's crashed, had wing damage, and still finished second. So, yeah, when realistically, you probably shouldn't be there. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Absolutely. Yes, Roddo asking more people to race, I think. Bruce, any questions for Roddo?
Well done on the win. As you just said then, you obviously had trouble. We noticed you had trouble at the start of the sprint race. But in the end, you made a really good recovery, obviously switching to the softs when the safety car came out for the end of that race. How important was that recovery in the sprint race to put you in good stead for the main race and eventually getting that win?
Yeah, obviously helped. Again, everyone just took each other out in the sprint after the safety car. There was cars all over the place. So, again, I probably shouldn't have been 4th. Should have probably been 8th or 9th. But yeah, obviously it helped, and it helped having Matty at the front as well. So obviously Ivan started on hard, so it was important for us to get a good start, and we did. And then obviously the race just panned out from there.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Roddo, on your victory, your 3rd of the season. But that is the end of tonight's racing from the Italian Grand Prix, and Bruce, it was definitely one we weren't expecting or not prepared for. I think for tonight's racing.
Yeah, I definitely, even though we've currently low numbers tonight, I don't think we were expecting only 6 finishers tonight, to be honest. So, absolutely bonkers. As I said, no one seemed to want to win that race for the entire duration. So, yeah, it's been a pretty spectacular race. Some good racing, some interesting racing, and ultimately. I don't really know what to say about it still, to be honest. It was pretty chaotic. Chaotic is the only word that describes it.
Yeah, so let's have a quick look because obviously next week, the next round is Australia. We know it's a notoriously slippy circuit for obviously being a street circuit. There's a number of corners there where people can make mistakes, and the racing should be fairly close around there.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, Australia, it's a tricky circuit. It can be quite slippy. Even though there are runoff areas and places, you do generally sort of tend to find the wall when you do make a mistake there. So it'll be interesting to see how everyone drives. Obviously, a completely different circuit to what we've just raced this week regarding sort of speeds and downforces and everything. So it'll definitely be interesting, and it's one of those circuits at this point of the season could change around the driver standards.
Absolutely. Well, that's all next week. Obviously, the racing action does continue this week. Obviously, tomorrow, myself and Webbo bring you coverage of the Tier 1 League, the top tier in the Equal Performance. And then Malc and Tim are with you on Thursday, bringing you the RP League, obviously both from Monza. And then next week, obviously everything returns, but at Australia, and on Monday you get Joe and Ewan bringing you the Tier 3 race, and obviously me and Bruce back next Tuesday for the Tier 2. So make sure you stay tuned for those streams coming up. Obviously, if you did enjoy tonight's racing and the stream, please do make sure you like the stream and subscribe to the IRL Racing channel, because you don't want to miss any live racing, because otherwise you miss some crazy races or some absolute I don't know how to describe it, other than chaotic racing at times, but it's always good good close to watch and comment on. But until next week for Tier 2, thank you for watching the Invictus Racing League Tier 2 in partnership with gridfinder.com. We hope you have a good evening.